Hello everyone, my name is Rajesh Kumar and I'm your DevOps SRE DevSecOps coach. I have close to 18 plus years of experience working in multiple MNCs around the globe and having in-depth knowledge of DevOps, SRE and DevSecOps. So I would like to introduce you one certification program in a DevOps, and that is we call it DevOps Certified Professional. Now this is a 2 months of program, 25 tools of DevOps you will learn, and apart from that you will also get the access to the LMS, lifetime access to the videos portal. It's a certification program, and you will have 25 assignments and 2 projects along with it. It's a completely weekend program, so here you have classes on Saturday and Sunday. So as part of this course, you will learn multiple things. Here you see that you will learn Linux, AWS, Docker, Jira, Confluence, Python, Git with GitHub, SonarQube, Maven, Gradle, Packer, Artifactory, Selenium, JMeter, Ansible, Kubernetes, Helm, Terraform, Jenkins, Datadog, Splunk, and Neuralink. Now, how do we, apply for this? So how can you reach out to us? So you have a WhatsApp number and email ID, so please reach out to us and we'll help you to onboard this program. Apart from this DevOps certified professional programs, we are offering other certifications as well in a DevSecOps, SRE, and one of the very comprehensive programs which we have is in Master in DevOps Engineering. Yeah, so feel free to get in touch with us and then enroll for it. Thank you. Okay, so today we are going to continue the session which we had last day, Kubernetes. So I'm going to talk about few resources today that we are going to use it. So let me, yeah. Okay, so first resources is namespace. Second resources we have pod. Third we have a deployment. Fourth we have um, services. Fifth we have PVs and PVC. So these are the few resources which I'm going to talk about it. So what is a namespace? Let's put it up in this way. Here, let's say this is your cluster powered by multiple worker 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's say team 1, they decide to deploy their pod. A multiple team is working on the same cluster. Okay, so team 1 decided to deploy their pod here, here, here. So basically a clustering concept where it's a one cluster, but actually scheduler schedule this in this, this in this, this in this, and this in this worker. Mind it. Now there is one more team which has come up, team B. They also deploy their pod like that. So now mind it, this is working here and then here, here and here. Okay. Now there is a problem in this pod. Okay. Okay. So what is a pod? I have not explained it to you, but yeah, pod has a container that we know that. So this pod we have a problem. Container have problem is consuming lots of CPU and lots of RAM. So it will impact B also because this pod is running in this, in this, in this, and this. So this will impact all the worker of the pod, correct? And then so this is a problem. So how do we share one cluster with multiple project? That is a problem. Now there is more incident we can talk about it where the team B by mistake delete the pod of team A. So why? Because they are working on the same cluster, so they destroy by mistake. So that's one more problem. So there's a requirement here. Requirement is very simple. How can we limit the resources in Kubernetes for each project? That's the first requirement. Limit the resources means CPU, RAM, and storage and all. And second problem is how do we give a limited access to the each project and only to modify their own pods? That is the question. So that is where the concept of namespace has come. So namespace is basically logical separation. It's not a physical separation. So one cluster you have it divided into multiple namespaces, and the namespace you set the limit saying that okay, these are the, let's say 4 GB, 4 GB, 4 GB, 4 GB. So altogether we have 16 GB RAM. So you can say okay, you will use 5 GB RAM and some CPU. This you can use, let's say 5 GB RAM and some CPU, and so on. And then now teams also can give access only to this namespace where their pod is running. So they cannot do anything in other namespace likewise. Okay. So this way you can maintain you can share the one cluster with multiple team and allocate their access and resources. Okay. So this concept we call it a namespace. So here, if you look at this, this is let's say I divided two namespace, but you can add many namespace as well. So Kubernetes has added one namespace default. That means those who's not having any namespace will be part of default. Then one node maintenance, one public namespace, one queue system namespace. So multiple namespaces has come. Let me show you here. kubectl get ns. See, these are the namespaces which is already there. All the pod, if you see that, is running in the system namespace. Okay, this is the namespace. See, all this pod is running. Okay, so this way it's a namespace. Now the question is, how do we create this namespace, pod deployment, and all? So answer is very simple. We have to do the CRUD, CRUD. Anything we have to create using command line or YAML file. Both way you can do that. Okay, so you can use kubectl command line or kubectl YAML file, both way. So you can create also, you do through command line, YAML also you can do that. So this is the way. Now where's the command for creating and reading and all? So if you run this command here, kubectl, you have all this command. You see a create, get, read, edit, delete, you know, apply. So these commands are available. So let me try. So command here, create, and then you can also YAML file, you can do create -f, read, you can do get, describe also you can use it, and here YAML file, get -f and describe -f. Update, here you have apply command, and here you can do edit command also you can use it here, and here you can apply -f, you can also do that, and delete command we have delete, and then delete -f. This is the pattern which I'm teaching you. Okay, so now you see that you can do the CRUD and you can create a namespace pod and any resources which you know that. Okay, so I'm going to create a namespace. Same formula I'm going to follow. This time I'm going to follow through command line. Okay, so let me show you. So kubectl get pods here, kubectl get pods. Now no pods is there. I want to create a namespace, right? So get ns. So here I'm going to create ns, name of the ns Rajesh. See here, get ns Rajesh is created. You can get it, you can describe it also. Describe ns Rajesh. See here, you can edit also. I'm editing some labels and all. See here, you can edit the labels. So here I'm adding more label, team QA, save it. I just edited it, and you see here it is here. Now you can also delete that. So finally delete ns Rajesh, and you saw that CRUD I did it, create, get, describe, edit, delete using command line. Did you understand that, all of you? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So now next resources which is very important, which is pod. You can take it, this pod as like a compute unit. So what is a pod? So pod basically, what is happening, I'll put it in this way. Uh, Kubernetes cannot manage container directly. So the question is, how this, who can manage? Container is managed by Docker or Containerd. That's a container management tool. So Kubernetes wants to manage a container somehow. At the same time, they want to manage the networking, volumes, and other resources also assigned to container. So how would they do that? So let me create one pictures here. This is the master server, and this is a worker server. Okay. So what happens? This is the master server, Kubernetes master server, and here you have a kubelet, and here you have a Docker. So what happens? API server, which is yesterday I talked about it. API server send the request to kubelet saying that, hey, instantia pod. So pod is basically nothing but a logical unit. Remember, it's not a physical unit. Logical unit. That means there is one container. Okay, there is one container. Mind it here. Very simple way. There is one container, and there is one volume, and there is one networking. Okay, so these three things, put it together, and this logical unit, we call it a pod. So that means pod, this container can be accessible by this network, and this volumes also they can use, container can use it. So it's a logical unit. They group it together, the resources, and they call it a pod. Okay, Kubernetes call it a pod. So in Kubernetes, whenever you want to deploy the container, you have to deploy in the pod. A pod is a logical unit, not a physical unit. That means you cannot go inside a pod, because pod is just a wrapper around the container resources. Okay, so this is something which we have it. Are you understanding? So you can access the pod, you can access the containers of the pod through some way I'll teach you, and so on. So whenever you deploy in Kubernetes, we deploy the pod. Okay. So now next question is, how do we deploy the pod? So last time I showed you through command line, but now I'll show you through YAML file. So come to here, you write pod example, and here see, this is the YAML file. Here you have a pod. So here you have a pod. What you want, kind is equal to pod is YAML file, version 1. Name of the pod, I'll just name it Rajesh. And pod has a container specifications. So this is the container name, one pod. You can have a multiple containers also here, like this. In one pod, you can have a multiple container. This image I'm using, and then port number 80. So this is the YAML file which you have to deploy the pod. So let's vi pod.yaml and enter deploy. Now kubectl apply -f pod.yaml, kubectl, apply, create also you can do that. Apply have a both activity. See, I'm deploying this pod in the default namespace. So if you just want to default deploy in the any other namespace, you have to give like this different namespace. So default namespace, kubectl, get pods. See here, pod is being created. You can wait for a few seconds. You can describe the pod also. So describe pod Rajesh. See, this is the pod. Image is being pulled right now. And each pod get one IP address. Right now it has not come. This is worker in which it is running this pod. And wait for a second. So get pod now running. Now IP address. Here. This is the IP address for the pod. So if you can curl http, you are inside a cluster, right? So you should see this connection not out. So this should be accessible, but because of networking challenges, you are not able to access this one. Okay, let me check kubectl and get nodes ready. So just a second. Worker Rajesh 123 IP 31. So IP address is 31 192.168.1.31 Rajesh 123. So let me try this one. It should be accessible. Well, yeah, it's accessible. So here, welcome to DevOps School 1. So there's some problem in the networking, I guess. So that has caused this issues. But usually it will accessible. Okay, so this is the pod, and inside that there is one container. So you can edit also. So edit pod, pod Rajesh. Let me add some labels here. Team, uh, DevOps, something like that, and save it. Get pods show labels. See here, this is the one. You can edit also. So what I did, I created it, the pod, I read it, I edited it. You can apply also, you can do that. So for example, here you can modify this file and add some section or something like that, and then you can apply. This is the way you can edit. kubectl apply -f pod.yaml and it's done. Okay, so this is the way you can also apply. Now now uh, this is the pod. Finally you have to delete the pod. So how do you do that? So kubectl get pods, delete the pod, delete pod Rajesh. So you can delete through YAML file itself, pod.yaml. Done. So this is the way you can work with the pod. Now let me create the pod one more time, same pod, and I'll cover few more commands with you. So let's say you want to copy some files inside a pod. Okay, you want to copy some files inside a pod. So what you'll do? So there's a file which is here. So you can use kubectl exec command. So kubectl exec pod name Rajesh, ls tmp. This is inside a container. Okay, this command will run inside a container of the pod name Rajesh. See, there's no file, so kubectl cp pod one dot example, and which one Rajesh, and where you want to copy tmp. You copied. See, now it has it. So let's say you can run any command using exec basically inside a container of that pod. Do you want to go inside this pod? Yeah, you can do that. So here you can do it inside a container, sorry, not pod. Pod you cannot go inside, and bin bash. It's like a Docker command actually. Docker I replace with kubectl. Okay, so exec hyphen it dab dab dab. Where are you? You are inside a container. Exit. You are outside of container. So this way you can go for it. You can see the logs of the containers also. Logs Rajesh. See here, nothing is coming. So you can let me hit to that. You will see some log. One, two times. Okay, IP address got changed maybe. Get pods. Provide. This is the IP address. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now here 5 logs here. So this way you can see the logs also. In fact, this container is running inside, this pod is running inside a worker, and this is your cluster. So this pod you can access the container of the pod. This you can access from here also, here also. From the cluster you can access it, but from outside you cannot access it. So if you see that this IP address is not accessible from outside, HTTP is not accessible. So what you can do, you can do the port forwarding also. So port forwarding at certain node port, and then you can access that. Okay, so there's no problem in it. So how do we do that? So for that, there is one command for it. Let me kubectl get pods, and you see this is the pod. Now there's one command called port forwarding. Forward, forward. I don't remember the exact combination, so I'm looking for help. So now this is the port forwarding. I'll do that. So address from everywhere. What is the pod name? So pod name is Rajesh. And what is the forwarding port? This let it be. Container is running on 80 port. So here I did it. So now this command will forward that traffic to the node port, and then I can access it. So you see here, right now forwarded. So now if I go for IP address of machines, so IP address of machine is 30, right? Yeah, 30, and port number 8888. So 8888. See, this way you can port forward the contain a pod and access it. Yeah, so these are the things, some of the stuff which we learned about the pod. Any questions which you have, all of you? All of you? Okay, so next one is deployment. So what is a deployment? So it's another resources.
Sorry,
But deployment,
before you go ahead, just want to know if Kubernetes acts a kind of a platform, like a graphical platform, than um, other than
yeah,
the
kubectl.
console. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is one dashboard solution is there which you can install it. Kubernetes dashboard. By default it will not be there, but you can install it actually. So go to here Kubernetes dashboard. So this you can install it for visualizations and all, but get a habit of what do you say, command line, that will help you. So
I just want to know because I saw the platform like this. I've not seen it the way you are describing it for us now.
yeah,
So I just
uh, with the practice you'll get it actually.
okay. Thank you.
This is the dashboard. Okay, so so yeah, next one is deployment. So what is a deployment? So deployment is one more resources of us, and that have multiple features. So deployment has a feature which is called replication. Deployment has a feature called controller also. Deployment has a feature of versioning. It has a rollout, a rollback. So these are the many features which we have in deployment. Primarily, I'm going to talk about these two features. So what exactly replications means? So when you use a kind is equal to pod, only one pod get created. But here you can replicate to as many pod you wanted. Okay, you can set a replicas and run as many pods you wanted. Now then controller, let's say you set 100 pod here. Controller will make sure your 100 is always 100, always 100. So this is the control which has been done by that. There are few more advantages which we have, but let's experience this one. So how do you create a pod then? I mean deployment then. So last time I created through the YAML file. Now this time I'll create through command line again. So kubectl create -h, and you see that these are the commands you can create. These are the using commands. So I want to create a deployment. So kubectl create deployment -h, and here there is a many examples are there. So I'll copy one of which, okay, and here. So create deployment mydep, which image I'll use this image, okay, and then how many pods you want to create? 3. So let me run this. Before that, kubectl get deploy. See, there's no deployment in the default namespace. Run it. Now I got the deployment here. If you see the pod, 3 pods will be created as part of this command. See, this is the one which I created earlier. Okay, so these are the pod. Now let's say I want to replicate more pods. What to do? Edit that deployment. Edit deploy mydep, enter, and here let's make it 3 to 5 deployment. Okay, and you see that here 5 containers you got it here. Now I'll make it 2, and you see here remaining got terminated. See, only 2 you have it, this one. So this feature is called replication feature. Based on your desire, as many pods you get it. Now the question is, how do we controller works? So let me delete this. Look at the age of this pod. I'm manually deleting this pod, and you see that magic. Delete pod, this pod, and this pod. I am deleting it. And you see the age is got created the new pod. See here. This feature is called replication, a controller. So here you have a built-in controller powered by replica sets. So which will make sure that the number of pods which you desire will be always same. And that's the responsibility of the Kubernetes. Make sense, all of you?
If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest.
Thanks for watching.